Hello, folks. I am back with another firearms review. But before I get to that, I'm going to give you an update on my firearm that I call Frankensour 2, which was inspired by the M18. This one right here with the parts that I got from Sig Sauer with taking the modules out. And I just wanted to show you a little bit of shooting I did with it. And the shots that I did with this are very well. They place very well, and it's really good feeling when I shoot this firearm. I did about 100 rounds to about 150 rounds, and it shot, in my opinion, for my shooting, dead on. This is just a grip issue, and up here a little too high. But as you see, this really was pretty much dead on. And there's something to be said about that. That grip with the shorter slide and a longer grip. I think Glock had something really with that when they had the 19X and the Glock 45. So this is in that category. So there will probably be a future video on that. Now, folks, I am back with the review. This is going to be on the Smith & Wesson 686 plus 357 Magnum series. And Smith & Wesson had a deluxe line, and they also, with the deluxe line, they came out with a different version. This is what they call the 357 Magnum series. And the reason for that is, if you look right here on the wood grips, it says 357. And I'm just going to show clear so no one thinks there are any safety concerns to be involved. All right, with this firearm, this I got used. It was sitting there, and I've been looking for another revolver. As you saw in my last video, I did another revolver, and for some reason, I'm getting into revolvers now. The other one was on a Kimber K6S DASA, and I wanted the K6X DASA was something for more like a compact carry because that's modeled after like something like a J frame. This one is on the L frame that Smith and Wesson has in there, and there when they do their product line. This is a 357 Magnum. Also, it is also rated for 38 Special Plus P. And what makes it the plus version is it is 7 rounds. As you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And it's a 7 round capacity. Uh, and let me give you some other features. I got the 3-inch barrel. They do come in a 2-inch barrel as well. The overall length is going to be 8.3 inches. The front sight is a red ramp, and this really comes in handy when you're trying to take accurate shots. Also, the rear sights are those square notch sights right here in the back, right here. Kind of reminds you of those Glock goalpost sights. But this sight in the rear is adjustable. As you see right here, it's adjustable here. And the grips, I did get into the grips earlier. They're black silver 357 grips. I'm not sure who the manufacturer is for that, whether it's Hogue or not, but they are wood grips, and they aid with a good purchase. As you see, they're finger grooves, but it still aids with a good purchase for when you're firing and keeping control. Also, the material of the cylinder is stainless steel. And if you notice something, the first thing that catches your eye with this firearm, this is non-fluted, and which is really interesting. It's a non-fluted cylinder, and that was what caught my eye. My understanding from what someone told me is that the non-fluted cylinders do add a little more weight to the firearm, so that doesn't bother me either way. This is, to me, aesthetically looks good. Also, the barrel is stainless steel. Barrel is made of stainless steel. As you see, it is dirty for because I've just come from the range. And also, the frame material is stainless as well. But the finish on this is going to be what they call a satin stainless. That's why it's not real bright. I don't like bright firearms anyway. It kind of the bright firearms seem to be looking like a pimp gun, but uh, this finish here is not bad. It reduces glare, and if you look up top here with that particular finish, you have it ribbed here at the top. I'm trying to focus in, ribbed here at the top, so that can reduce reflection as well as right in here. Some people usually will take this portion out and they'll might mount an optic on this as well. I've seen that done. Another thing is it, it's designed for three different things. Some, from what I hear, it's set, and even on Smith and Wesson's website, it says it's rated for competition shooting, home defense, and recreational shooting. And like I said, I've been lately getting into revolvers, and I it it kind of helps you out, teaching you trigger control. And I want to show you a target what I mean where it teaches you trigger control. But I just want to bring out one more point on here is this right here. That's a lock, so you can lock the hammer trigger system for safety purposes. I know Smith did that some time ago, um, and for child safety or whatnot. But I've heard horror stories with this because my understanding is some people would lock that and then it would malfunction. If they had a loaded firearm, there was no way to unlock the cylinders. I think that was an issue they had some time ago, but they did correct that from my understanding. But yeah, I wouldn't want to lock that and with a loaded firearm and have an issue, or have an issue where it's locked and you can't open it because you lost the key or whatnot. So I'm leaving that alone. I'd rather use something like the bicycle locks that normally that you get from when you purchase a firearm. That would be a safer alternative. But other than that, this is a very good firearm. And the shooting impressions that I want to tell you about, um, I shot roughly about 50 rounds of a 38 special, not the plus P yet. I didn't have plus P 38 special, and I also shot 50 rounds of 357. And just like with the Kimber I had, that it does leave a little bit of a uh, not well fireball or whatever you want to see, a muzzle blast in the front, so you can tell the difference between that 38 special round and that 357 round. It's a little weighty, and that's a good thing. I don't even know what the weight is on this, but it's a little weighty, and it's a good thing that it is weighty to help reduce recoil. So I forgot to check the weight on this particular firearm, but since I pulled out the scale here, let's see how much this weighs. And I'm throwing that on there. And we have 2 pounds, 4.7 ounces. So that's the weight of that. So I'm not thinking about this as a particular carry option, but it's just something that you wouldn't mind taking out, let's say, to the range. And uh, when they said they use this for competition, I can understand why, because this thing shoots like a bullseye at certain points. And let me pull out those targets for you. Okay, and here we go with those targets. This was a combination of 357 and 38 special. I was playing around with the distances anywhere between, uh, let's say, 7 yards and 13 yards. So that's what I got there. What I meant by earlier about when I said it would teach you to be a better shooter, uh, see all these are off because when I had the firearm itself, I wasn't holding it properly, and as I pulled the trigger, it'll make me move the trigger as I was shooting, possibly anticipating the shot, and that's where you'll see those mistakes come in because uh, a double action pull will teach you how to make sure those shots are pretty much centered, and that's what the problem I had with that in the beginning, and then I settled down and got to where I wanted to be. The other target I have here, this is pretty much going to be a single action. I was sending this out to maybe 13 to 15 yards. I think more or less this was at 13. And from single action, again, you still have to learn how to press the trigger instead of taking that trigger and jerking it. So this is why I like revolvers because it teaches you those things because that's what happened there. And of course, you shoot off target. So I'm messing around between 10 and 13 yards. Didn't do too bad at single action. And this is all 357 round 357, not 38 special. This is all 357 single action. Uh, and it's really a decent firearm to practice with. I can see that firearm as being a very useful firearm for home defense because a lot of people are not well adversed with, uh, let's say your semi-auto firearms, and particularly there are some people who are new to firearms. They want something that's simple, not as complicated. So, what's more simpler than a revolver? You throw your rounds in, you close it, you pull the trigger. But of course, you need some shooting time. Other than that, folks, that's all I have. I'm really liking this revolver because it's kind of like I'm going full circle. Started off with revolvers, moved my way to semi-autos, and now I'm back with revolvers. All right, folks. So happy shooting. Stay safe. Hashtag 2A. Take care.